So when I say the words private investigator, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Is it some shadowy figure in a trench coat, maybe from an old black and white movie? Well, it's time to just toss those old stereotypes out the window. Today, we're going to dive into what a modern private investigator actually does, and you might be surprised how relevant their work is to our everyday lives.
Okay, so let's get right into it. What does this job really look like in the 21st century? I mean, forget the magnifying glass for a second. We're talking about a highly skilled professional who you're more likely to find in a courtroom, a corporate office, or even a quiet suburban neighborhood. The real question is, what are they actually looking for?
So, at its very core, a PI is a professional fact finder. That's it. Their entire job is to gather information and dig up evidence for a whole range of clients. We're talking everyone from regular people going through a personal crisis to lawyers trying to build a case, all the way to big companies trying to protect their assets. You could say they're in the business of finding certainty.
So, where do these skills actually get put to use? Well, let's start with the one you probably know best: personal and family cases. You know, this is where life gets messy, and emotions can seriously cloud the truth. A PI's whole job here is to bring some clarity to the situation.
This one is a classic, right? But the reality is a whole lot different than what you see in the movies. When someone suspects their partner is cheating, an investigator is brought in to provide objective proof. Their job is to be a fly on the wall, to conduct discreet surveillance, and just document what they see. This gives the client real facts, not just speculation, so they can finally make an informed decision.
But the work can get even more serious. In child custody battles, the stakes are just incredibly high. A PI is tasked with impartially documenting a parent's behavior and the child's living conditions. And this information is absolutely vital for the courts to make a decision that is truly in the best interests of the child.
You know, it's not all about conflict. PIs also play a really important role in bringing people back together. Whether it's finding a family member you haven't seen in years or locating a loved one who's just kind of fallen off the map, investigators use all their skills to piece together the clues and hopefully reunite them.
But the work of a PI goes way beyond personal stuff. Now we're going to shift gears from the living room to the boardroom, because PIs are an absolutely critical resource for protecting corporate and legal interests.
Just think about it from a business owner's point of view for a second. Let's say a company thinks an employee is stealing or committing fraud or something else really serious. That is a super sensitive issue. Hiring an outside investigator means you get an unbiased, totally professional inquiry. They can gather the evidence without any of the internal politics getting in the way.
This is where investigators really have to follow the money. In a big divorce case or a major business dispute, it's not uncommon for someone to try and hide their financial assets. Well, a PI who specializes in asset searches can uncover those hidden bank accounts, properties, and investments, which makes for a much more transparent and fair outcome for everyone.
And this is just such a crucial support role. PIs work hand in hand with lawyers to gather evidence that will actually hold up in court. And the key phrase here really is legally obtained. Any evidence they collect has to be gathered by the book, otherwise it's completely useless. They're basically the fact-finding arm of a legal team.
All right, so we've talked about the what and the why. So now let's take a quick look at the how. What are the actual techniques these investigators use to get to the truth?
Surveillance. It's still a cornerstone of what they do, and this quote really sums it up perfectly. It's not about being sensational or dramatic. It's a patient, careful process of just watching and documenting. It's about creating a factual record of what someone does that can later be used as evidence.
A professional background check? Oh, that goes so much deeper than just a quick online search. It's a whole process. An investigator is digging into public records. They're looking for criminal histories, they're reviewing civil court cases like lawsuits, and they're verifying past jobs to build a full and, most importantly, accurate picture of a person.
And what's really fascinating is how the same core skill, finding people, can be used in two completely different ways. On one hand, you've got an investigator searching for a missing family member with the goal of bringing them home. But on the other hand, they do what's called skip tracing. That's the industry term for tracking down people who are actively trying to disappear, usually to get out of paying a debt.
All right, we have covered a lot of ground. So let's bring this all together and answer the most practical question of all. When should a person actually think about hiring a private investigator? What's the real deciding factor here?
At the end of the day, it all boils down to one thing. You need reliable, unbiased information to solve a major problem. When you get to that point where you just can't move forward without concrete evidence or some hard facts, well,
that's the moment you should probably consider bringing in a professional.
So, just to recap those key situations, whether you're dealing with something deeply personal, like infidelity or a custody dispute, or you're facing a legal battle where evidence is absolutely everything, or you're trying to protect your business from an internal threat, these are the times a PI services are going to be most valuable.
So really, the work of a modern investigator is all about replacing uncertainty with facts. It's about giving people the information they need to find some resolution and just move on with their lives. And that kind of leaves us with one final thought for you to consider. What unanswered question in your life needs a definitive answer?